you. Reports and information.
Our first report tonight we have is the TSBA board self-assessment. This is provided annually through our school board policy that the board do a self-assessment. Earlier this year when this was administered, we had a request from the board to help kind of see an aggregate of this information, just so there was some feedback on what the team did. So what Ms. Van Cleve has provided for you is just the survey where you can see how many people scored where. So there's no names attached, but you can kind of get a general idea of where the rest of the board completed their self-assessment. Also at the end, you can see the comments that were listed. Again, not by name, just in general, so you can see what your board is mentioning as their self-assessment that will be submitted to TSBA as part of your board of distinction process. It has been submitted. That will be has been submitted.
Yay. Any question on the survey, on the assessment? We need a motion to accept this? I didn't think so. All right. Board meeting dates.
Also in your packet, you will see we have laid out the 25-26 board meeting dates. It does say recommended for approval. We don't have to take a vote on it, but we will take feedback on it if you would like to see something different. But we structured it the same way we have structured the last few years, with, of course, our twice-a-month meetings. We do have those split between here and the City Hall. If that's something the board wants to discuss to move all those back to City Hall, of course we can. If that's what the board would like to see. And then we also have our two standard, what we call kind of longer work session retreats, once in August, beginning of the year. That's on August 26th, and again in January. There is the Saturday retreat also, which is part of your something we can turn into TSBA for your board of distinction and your boardmanship points. You will also see the 3 meetings in April for budget. So it looks very, very similar to this year. So if there's any discussion or any changes the board would like to see, we are happy to entertain those prior to us finalizing this and posting it.
Are you aware of any hindrance with the general public of us meeting here?
We have gotten no comments about that
response?
unless the board has, but we have not received any.
I appreciate the back and forth.
Others too.
And I probably think staff does too. Should just be able to come downstairs and not have to go downtown. It's probably great. I would think. I like it.
All right, any question, comment on board meeting dates? All right.
I have just a few directors updates for tonight. First of all, we have 10 days of school left.
Yippee! Who would have thought it?
Okay.
I
It's
can
May.
see it in your eyes.
That's right. We've had a great school year, and it's hard to believe, but we have 10 days of school left. We are coming back after Memorial Day. I'm sure you've heard that question. We hear that question quite a bit as well. And my response to teachers is twofold. One, the calendar is really developed by the Teacher Advisory Council. It's made by our teachers. They make it. I think I always say when they have to make it, they don't always realize the pieces that go into that and the requirements. But the short answer is it's 180 days any way you cut it. So we can count the days whenever we want to count them. We got to get to 180 days. And so this year, the way the calendar fell, we did have to go after Memorial Day. When if you get questions about that from staff or parents, the kind of trade-off from that was the Thanksgiving week. And to get out before Memorial Day, they would have had to come the week of Thanksgiving, and the staff did not want to, teachers did not want to do that. So that's kind of where we are with that. So just want to kind of point that out. We will end school Thursday after Memorial Day, and then Sherry, correct me if I'm wrong, we start summer school the next Monday. Yeah, so we start that the next Monday. We're still working through our timeline for end of the year assessments. We expect 3rd grade data to be back on the 20th, which will be next week. We have a principals meeting tomorrow. We'll kind of talk in depth about that, but we will start retesting students the next 22nd. We will start retesting students for that. Ms. Arnett is leading 2 final Zoom meetings for the year tomorrow for 3rd and 4th grade families who are impacted. So we probably expect a bigger crowd on those tomorrow. Ideally, we would love to be able to specifically invite families who are going to be impacted, but we get the test data back so late in May, we just can't push it off that far. Lisa, anything you want to add about the Zooms tomorrow?
No, actually, there's 4 Zooms. So there's 2 for 3rd grade, 2 for 4th grade, and then we'll do a Spanish 3rd grade next week with Miss Ortiz.
Great, we appreciate Ms. Ortiz. She always steps up and does that for us. But we are feeling really great about our testing, and I just remind our parents, if you hear from families, we have every year been able to find a promotion pathway for every student whose parent has wanted that promotion pathway. So any child that's not been promoted is either because the parent specifically wanted the child retained, or they made the decision to say, we are not going to go to summer school and we are going to do this instead. So we can always find that promotion pathway. Sherry, anything we're into the school year I'm missing? Final thing is I did want to provide this as well to the board, and it's something you've seen before with some additions. And it's just keeping everyone up to date. The federal President's administration did kind of unveil their what he called the skinny budget for the Congress to consider. Again, we're still a long way away from Congress actually approving a budget, but just to kind of see what the federal government has said they're going to fund. And so what you see is I provided this one pager to you back during budget period to kind of say how much money we're spending getting from federal dollars. And what I did is I just kind of took the notes from his budget and we added it in red. So for instance, if you look at Title I, you can see what we're getting, and his budget's calling for level funding. Now, does that mean we're going to get the exact same amount of money? No, because that's level funding as a whole country. Our portion of that depends on the size of our school district and the socioeconomic demographics of our students. If we had an increase in students eligible, we'd see more money. But the overall pot would be, he is saying, is going to remain the same. The concern with that, again, and I will say we've had level funding in Title I, I think, for 3 years. The concern with that is, again, we do pay for staff with that, and of course, the cost of a teacher is significantly more than it was 3 years ago. If it continues to be level funding, you're going to continue to see that we're going to pay for fewer educators there. You'll see several programs such as Title II, Title IV, where the FY26 proposal from the federal government did not mention that specifically. I will say there was some language about cutting some federal programs. So I'm making the assumption, I want to be very clear, this is my assumption, that if it wasn't mentioned, it may be one of those unspecified programs that they're looking at possibly cutting. But that's purely me trying to forecast what's happening there. You will see with Title IIIA, that has been proposed elimination. Obviously, Congress will have the final say on that, but they are proposing to eliminate that Title IIIA that pays for our family liaisons, or 4 of our family liaisons. What that pays for. Special education funding, you'll see again level funding at that same amount. One change they did say is that we have special education funding, and then we have what's called IDA pre-K, which is just our pre-K students. They're recommending that all that be consolidated just under one IDEA blanket. So that's something we'll watch for. And then, although the Title III immigrant grant, you can see that there for us. Again, that wasn't specifically called out, but it was called out cuts to Title III. So that's another one we're watching that we think we may see dwindle down or go away. Not a lot of new information. The real reason I'm providing this is just so you know that we're watching this. We're keeping our eye on it. The federal government, I think, doesn't vote on the budget until October. So we will be into next school year. I don't think it'll be an immediate impact on us as much as it will be the year after. So I just wanted to provide this as just information for you. Any
Thanks.
questions on that?
Any questions?
I have a,
All right, Karen didn't say.
I'm sorry.
So if it is going set to, we're unclear, assumed, eliminated, does that, I mean, or we just won't have those positions anymore?
No, that'll be a conversation because again, for the board, we receive the funds, then the board decides how we use them.
Right.
So for instance, you know, I go back to our outreach liaison.
Mhm.
We can't function without our outreach liaison. You
So
know,
we have to find another way.
we're gonna find another way. How do we roll those into our general purpose budget? Is there another funding source we're looking at? And you know, again, right now there's a lot of, this is the first piece we've seen where it's actual proposals and numbers, and even then it was still kind of vague when it was talking about unspecified programs or that wasn't mentioned. So I think I am not concerned for next year as much as I am the year after,
Right.
and see what actually gets approved and done.
David,
It wasn't necessarily on that. I wanted some information. How many inclement weather days do y'all know offhand that we end up having for this school year?
Did not use all of them.
I know we didn't use them all. I just can't remember how many, maybe 4. Okay, that's good. Because I didn't hear a lot of talk about it. And do we have a lot of flu absences from teachers this year? I didn't think we did.
Not noticeable.
I didn't think so. It was,
Not like we typically have.
so it was lower
We
than,
typically have a shortage of stuff.
okay. I just was wondering about how many flu days we had, because it seemed like this was a mild flu season. Is it over? Are we done with flu season?
You're talking it.
Oh, let me shut up.
Yes, you see.
Lisa told me. I was just wondering data wise, that always interests me. How many, because one year it was horrible flu days out and stuff like that. And with the inclement weather, and often with inclement weather, like we had with all that rain and stuff, because most of the time people think inclement weather, we always think snow. But with that rain and the tornado stuff that was coming through, it was just really, really scary. It was flat out.
But some of the worst weather we actually had was actually in the spring break for us this year, so I think we dodged that.
Yeah, that's right.
But we still have inclement weather days that we did not have to utilize.
Yeah, that's good.
Especially with the floods. I know conversation with a lot of directors up in the Northeast and others that were open that week that there was during our spring break. There were quite a few districts that had to apply for like a waiver for additional days. So we lucked out this year.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. Thank you.
okay?
Can I ask a question about back to the federal funds thing? Nutrition will not be touched. Is that what you're gathering?
That's funded through.
Because that's a big
USDA.
chunk.
USDA,
That's
yeah.
USDA.
52% of our funds are used for nutrition. Y'all have not heard any rumbles about that.
Only thing that's really been affected right now are
Uh-huh.
but as of right now, even if
Thank you.
But the school nutrition isn't funded out of the Department of Education, correct?
Right, it's USDA. So,
I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
do we still have a USDA?